Welcome to CIT 93 JavaScript. My name is Rhea Waller and I teach full-time here at Fresno City College, and this is a 4-unit 100% online 18-week course to learn to code in JavaScript. And I'm way excited, and don't tell any of my other classes because some of you might be taking them, okay? But this is my favorite. And this is my favorite especially this semester because I've redesigned it. I've taken, matter of fact, almost every year I do something new into my courses. Some of my other courses I redid last semester in the spring, but this time I spent my entire summer pretty much actually redoing this course. Now, I didn't do it by myself. I actually used Google's Gemini to take the code I had written 3 years ago for a very important part of this course, which is called our code along, where you follow along with me. You code, you have commit messages that you do. You'll learn about Git if you don't already know Git and GitHub in this class. But in this case, I have then gone through a quite extensive process. As a matter of fact, I ended up having the longest conversation in a chat session I have ever had, which was 3 months long. And it was amazing what happened and how much I learned, because the thing that I realized is I needed to bring my code base up to best practices, modern JavaScript. I mean, I actually had Gemini review the project I had done before, and it was like, okay, that's a great start, and here's the things you're going to want to implement. So it was wonderful. I really got the experience of walking through, having a whole, like I said, 3-month discussion about how I wanted this project to end up, because I didn't just let it create the code. I wanted to go through and put in the requirements I had and what I wanted to see. So this learning to use generative AI at many different levels is important. And you may be wondering, in the world that we live in today, is learning to code still important? And it's a common question that I get these days. It's something I see depending on who you follow and what you look at out in the world. It is definitely a point of discussion that AI, and in this case generative AI, is poised to possibly impact many different professions. But at this point, and this is why I thought I'd start with this, I actually went over to Gemini today. And I actually did this whole, like, I'm working on my online class, right? Community college students, a common question I get is, given the fast-paced Gen AI coding ability, should students that are studying web development or IT in general, because some of you may be coming in just as a general IT or CIT degree, is it still learning to code, and I should have put important, but it understood, right? And this was, I didn't expect this answer, but I thought it was good. And remember, also Gemini, in this case, because I've been having ongoing conversations and I actually allow it to save it, it also knows a lot about my particular use in this case, which is cool. So of course, here's a clear and encouraging explanation you can share with your students about why learning to code is still essential in the age of AI, right? Is that you should still learn to code. In fact, understanding the fundamentals is more important than AI, than ever, because of AI. Think of AI coding assistants like a powerful calculator for a math student. A calculator can do complex arithmetic instantly, but it's useless if you don't understand the principles of algebra or calculus, right? AI is a tool, not a replacement for a developer. So here's why it still remains important, right? You can't prompt or fix what you don't understand. And boy, have I seen this one, to where yes, you can have AI, generative AI, and I keep saying that because AI is a larger umbrella under which generative AI is a part. And we'll definitely through this course be talking about, just AI in general, because you're going to see the way I implement it into the course I actually have been working on a grant for the last 2.5 years, and we've created a project that will serve as part of your assignments. In this case, I'm going to refer to them as checkpoint assignments. So like you do the code alongs, and then I'll take the code that you've written and I will send it through our AI chat interface, and actually it will see how well it's not quizzing you, it's actually kind of having, ask you questions. You can interface with it, but it is a graded assignment. But anyway, I digress for a minute, because the point I was trying to make here, because this is a common thing that I see, is yes, it can generate code, but at some point, you're going to have to actually modify the code to a point that AI doesn't, or AI may give you code that doesn't work. So for a class like this that is learning to code, you don't want it to generate code for you, but what you do want to do is have it help you learn things that maybe I haven't explained to the point that was clear enough for you to understand, or you want to continue your education around those particular topics. And again, you'll see different ways that I'll implement it through the course. Right. So, but this is a common thing I see. Matter of fact, one of the developer that I worked with, Rick Gomez, who's going to be teaching HTML and CSS in the back nine of the semester, had an experience this summer where he had AI using what's called Cursor, which is basically like VS Code. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But what it did is it generated a lot of code, but it didn't work, and it took him much more time than he would have taken just to write it, to troubleshoot it. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't use if you're actually working out there in the world, but for a class like this, you want to actually learn those fundamentals, so when it comes to code that may be generated for you, you can still troubleshoot it. Okay? So, right, the real job isn't just typing code. This is so true. So, and then how you should use it now, right? And this is, as a student, you can use it to supercharge your education, no doubt about that. And this is the way, I'm going to suggest you think about it. Now, here's the other reason I'm going to give you is part of this course, and why don't I just move back over here because we're on the welcome. Part of this course is actually going to be you doing a technical interview. Sometime after about the midpoint of the semester, you'll sign up for a 30-minute session sometime between then and the end of the semester. You only have to do one, but it accounts for 25% of your grade that you will come in, and actually I'll give you need to code something. Now this thing I will have you code is going to be coding you've seen before in the coursework. So it's not like I'm trying to trick you, but really what I'm attempting to do, because I don't know how to assess in the world that we live in other than to do these technical interviews. And I've been doing technical interviews for 3 years, and now I just find them even more important. So you'll hear me talk about this through the semester, and of course I definitely recommend coming to talk to me even before a technical interview, just to kind of get a comfort level, and just to get, have conversations that you may be interested around these topics. I've been doing just this past week, the semester starting on Monday, today's Saturday, I did like 3 different lectures about AI. I mean, it's just like, it's definitely a big part of my experience right now. Okay, learning to code. I already talked about this. I've talked about this. So in this course, okay, so let's kind of talk about the course to get you started. So there'll be a weekly attendance post where I'll actually have you do, something to get ready for the week. And then what we're going to do through the weekly work is we're going to do, matter of fact, why don't I just give you a little preview here. I'm going to go ahead and open modules in another. Now I'm looking at this as as an instructor. When you get in here, you will only see for the first week 0 and week 1. But in week one, you're just setting up, not just, but you're setting up your dev environment and you're doing a quick assignment. But starting in week two is really where the course will take shape. And then, like, so as an example, you'll have a code along assignment where you'll follow me. I will have video where I've taken that code base, and actually the code base is for a carbon footprint, to where we create a form that takes user data and calculates carbon footprint. And then we break it into, like in this case, variables and operators, basic page interactions. So after every one of these, then you will have this checkpoint. And these checkpoints are the actual AI assistant, or in this case, the chatbot that we're created, that underneath it, we're interacting with OpenAI, ChatGPT in this case. Yes, I use Gemini. I try to use as many of these different ones, but typically I find, since my summer experience, I'm mostly using Gemini, but I will kind of jump around and use other ones based on what I'm trying to accomplish. But in this case, you'll do a checkpoint, so this will be the Monday night, and so this will be the Thursday night, or you have another code along, and then you have another checkpoint. And then eventually about week 5, we'll start doing our first project work. Because the other thing you will do is you will take what we're learning and you'll write an application based on, a decision, making a decision-making application. And then those will be like instead of the second item, right? And then around week 10, like I told you, in this case, it actually will be due by the end of the semester, but somewhere between, I may move it between there, you will have the technical interview you'll sign up for. Now, at this point in the semester, I've actually coded all the way up to week 12. Okay, so I've gotten all the content ready, except for the attendance, which I will do those as we go through week to week, because it allows me to actually cover some of the things that I see in the work that the students are doing. Right, and just helps me, point out also, because this is version, 1 of this iteration of the course. There's definitely going to be things that I'll want to make sure, if somebody brings to my attention, I'm fixing as quickly as possible. And the weekly attendance will be little coding projects that we do related to probably what we're going to be coding during that week. Okay, so I recommend highly that you, and I have simple syllabus here, I definitely recommend you going through simple syllabus. Oh, actually I need to update this. We have another tutor this week. This semester we have 2, Brianna and Zach. So that's wonderful. 2 really good tutors for this class. So when you need help, it's like, come see me if you can, based on your schedule and mine. You'll see my office hours listed in here as well. They are available on Zoom and in person, right? And then I actually included communications and how I use AI in the course, and I talk. So anyway, go through this. I'm not going to go through it, but you can see how the grading is done, where the code alongs are, where the development projects are, where the technical interview is, the checkpoints, and then the attendance. I guess I am going over it, but I definitely recommend you spend more detailed in there. So the thing you can know about this course is that I set it up to be sequential, meaning you have to work through it in the way I've set it up. And you've already seen this, but just to give you this visual, if I view the course as a student and I come back to here, the first thing, and now this, because I've been working through a few items already, but you can see for me, I've already done these items. But if I was to, again, don't worry, you can't do this on your side, but if I was to show you, if I reset the student here, then what would happen is this is what you see, right? So you're at the welcome and you're working through it, and I'll tell you at the end what you are going to need to submit here. But then once you finish this, then you'll have a little video talking about the Discord server, which I really suggest you consider joining. And then once you do that, right, so you will open up week 1. So you have to submit this, view this in order to get to week 1, okay? And that's how this this course is laid out and how it is run. So you can't skip around, and it doesn't make sense to skip around in a technical acquisition course or a skill-based acquisition, because you need to have those skills layered, or scaffolding is often the word that's used. Okay, so that's what I mean in here when I'm talking about it's in sequence. Okay. And then, weekly, there'll be, like, as an example, if there's a holiday, which our first one, and I only gave you one, but in the syllabus it lists them all. If there's a holiday on a Monday, then a due date then is moved one date. So instead of Monday night, it'll be Tuesday. And just know that's the way I handle holidays. I never make anything due on a holiday. That's what a holiday's for. So my recommendation is also, if you're taking this course, don't take CIT28, which is Intro to SQL. I don't recommend taking those two courses at the same time. Over the last year that I've been teaching CIT28, because I just picked up that fairly recently, which is Introduction to SQL, I've had a couple students try to do that, not successfully. So it's just the workload for those two classes, and they both require a technical interview, so I just don't suggest it. But come talk to me, though, if you want to talk about more detail why I feel that way. And then, as I said before, take advantage of the tutoring, right? Take advantage of my office hours. Just get help and be willing to figure out what works for your schedule to get help, because getting behind with the pace of this course, and it's 18 weeks, is really important. It's a 4-unit class, so you're going to definitely feel that, as we move through the course, but staying up to date. Now, I do allow students to submit late work, and I do offer 2 late passes, which is in the simple syllabus as well. So this class, and we're getting to the place now where you're actually going to be able to submit what you need to move on to the next item for this. And notice how here it says start the assignment. But what you're going to need to provide me is a GitHub username. Okay. So GitHub is the website and the platform that we will use to share code among us. And then Git is the version control. So encoding version control is very important. Don't worry about if you've never heard it before, but it's definitely a part of what you're going to learn in my course, because we start with it by helping you walk through how to set up your development environments. But for now, if you don't already have one, and I find more and more students actually already have GitHub usernames, but if you don't, then you'll create one, and I happen to just pull up GitHub, and then what you will do is sign up. Right? For if you already have one, you can sign in and get your username and give it to me. That's what you will end up submitting. Matter of fact, let me come back here. Right? So you'll either provide or create your GitHub username, and then what you will do is submit it. Let's see. Submit. Yeah, this is the required part. No. That's what I was going to say, is that GitHub does require 2-factor authentication, which means you have to input your password once you create it, and then you have to have another way, which generally, unless you're using a passkey, which is a great way to go, you would also have it send you an SMS message to your phone, but you do need to implement that for the system. Okay, so to actually move on to the next item, you will hit the start, which will bring up the box. And then in here, whatever that GitHub, like as an example, my GitHub username is that, right? I've obviously had it for a while. You may not be able to use your name. You may have to come up with some other name, but you'll want to give me your GitHub username and then just hit submit. And then when you do that, and make sure, right, that you go and set it up. Remember, it has to be, matter of fact, when I go to invite you, which is the thing I will do next, it has to be a valid GitHub username. Now, do notice, as soon as I've done this, right, then it did open up. It shows me there's a check mark here, which means I've submitted that. And now all you have to do is view this in order to go into week 1. But there is a timing issue here, and you'll hear me talk about this as it relates to the attendance. because once you submit your GitHub username, and you might, because I'm actually releasing this course on the Saturday before the start of the semester, you may be submitting, hopefully you're submitting your GitHub usernames to me, but over the weekend or definitely through Monday. But just know that you and I probably have a different schedule. I've noticed many students are more up late at night than I am, and I'm definitely an early morning kind of person. But that's something we learn as we move into the course. But I just want to let you know now, if you come in here and you're trying to do this first item, but it was like 10 o'clock on Monday night, when I go over this, because in order to do the work here, you actually have to provide me that GitHub username, and I will invite you into the course, but I'll actually talk about that in attendance. All right, so I hope this gives you a start, a feel for what we're going to do. It's definitely going to, I hope it's going to be fun. Many students tell me at the end of this course they enjoyed it, and that yes, it was a challenge, but they enjoyed learning and actually learning how to code and to build something, which was fun to see. So I'm glad you're here. I look forward to getting to know you, and it's time to move on to the next thing. See you later.